Hey, good Monday morning, my friends. MLive Chief Meteorologist Mark Torregrossa here with the MLive Morning Weather Update, brought to you by Consumers Energy. We have a winter weather advisory. It was for all but 3 counties in lower Michigan. Now, in the far southwest, they're starting to clear out some counties, and I think that's the way it's going to go. I think the Weather Service is erring on the side of caution in southeast lower and southwest lower. Northern lower, the winter weather advisory is definitely warranted. So that's why I'm saying it needs some explaining. So let's get on into it. Here's the first way to explain it. This is the current radar. You would look at this, you would say, oh, it's something's falling out of the sky in places like Bay City and Saginaw and Frankenmuth and down toward Owasso and heading into the west side of Flint. Well, in Frankenmuth here, look out the window and there's really nothing falling out of the sky, which means that there's dry air in place at the surface and the precipitation is evaporating before it hits the ground. Let's take kind of a round robin of various radars. Now I switch to the northern lower Michigan radar, and it does have some snow on it, so you're definitely, I would say from Clare northward, you're on the white side, 2 to 4 inches. And then we go into southwest lower, and you don't see much going on, which is why I believe that maybe they're going to start to clear out the winter weather advisories that are officially in effect until between 7 and 11 o'clock tonight. Hey, let's say hi, good morning, folks. Frank Sanchez, good morning. Roger Tallman, Petoskey, lovely city of Petoskey. Good morning to you. I haven't been to Petoskey in years. Has it grown? I mean, it was always very nice. KJ Maxwell, good morning, and Cheryl Gear, thanks for watching. So here's where the official winter storm warnings are in effect. Let's look at the wider spread radar. I like this because it gives you a better idea of what is going on. And what is going on is some steady light to moderate snow, northern half of lower Michigan, Houghton Lake to Cadillac to Tawas northward. Does anybody have any freezing rain out there, by the way? Grand Rapids reported freezing rain for an hour, and my eyes and ears there said not really much happened. What's going on in Flushing? Flushing, you are in that band of precipitation approaching. So, Craig Foster, anything falling out of the sky there if you can see the window? Point being is, I think the advisory looks a little worse than what will happen, but I will admit that I do think that as we go through the afternoon, we'll see the precipitation in the southern half of the state pick up a touch. Now, here's our high-resolution rapid refresh radar forecast. This is noon, and it's light snow for Saginaw, Bay City, Midland, the Thumb, and the salmon color there, I guess you'd call it, is sleet, and the pink purplish is freezing rain. So that mixture will be limited. Now we go to 2 in the afternoon, and if there's a surge of precipitation in the southern part, southeastern and south central part, I would say it's in the late afternoon. This is 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock. Greg Foster says freezing rain and sleet. Okay, hey, good morning, good buddy Greg Favero. He's a meteorologist turned fantastic STEM teacher. Good path there, buddy. So this is 6 o'clock this evening, and yeah, Clarkston, you could have the light snow, and you could have the sleet in the Detroit area and Ann Arbor. So again, the winter weather advisory for the southeast and the Saginaw and the Thumb, probably more for the second half of the afternoon into the evening for it to be coming, kind of on the slick side. Oh boy, Greg Favero. I used to work with him at TV5. He was my best man in my wedding. How about Punta Cana? He's rubbing it in. Punta Cana, just a little bit of light snow there. No, actually, it's reportedly white in Punta Cana. It's the sand, white sand. All right, so we go into the evening hours. This is 11 o'clock right there, and midnight. Snow winding down, and it should leave us in better shape for tomorrow morning if indeed we do get any sort of accumulating light ice coating. This is total snowfall expected from the model that I really like, high resolution rapid refresh, and it keeps ratcheting down. Lorianne, Ann Arbor, in the late afternoon and evening hours, you could have a very light coating of freezing drizzle, and you could have maybe an inch of snow, maybe. This is total snowfall. What does it say for Ann Arbor? Not much at all. Trace amounts. An inch or two in the thumb and 2 to 4 inches in northern lower Michigan. The UP, not much there. This is total snowfall by the time it's done. Now, I do think there is some interesting stuff going on in weather, and I think the best thing I can show you is a satellite picture across the Pacific Ocean. And the story you should see is storm systems all lined up. And it looks like as we get into the next week to several weeks and into January, we're going to have a storm system come across the U.S. about every 3 days. It says a couple of things. Frequent precipitation, but when the storm systems are lined up, none of the storms can really become a major storm system. Major storm systems do it all on their own, not the next storm system, because the next storm system pushes the other one out and they just can't build enough to become a major storm. But here you see it. Here's the U.S. on the right side, and then another storm hitting the West Coast, another large storm out in the Pacific, and you can just kind of see. And that's the kind of flow that I anticipate as we go through January, and as we stay maybe slightly cooler than normal in January, then we get activity. Matthew Myers, good morning. Are you seeing a pattern change to cold and maybe some good storm tracks after this warm-up? Yes, I've just talked about that. Not so much extremely colder than normal, but maybe slightly colder than normal, and that's enough to say we lean toward snow as we go into January. We're going to have some activity, it looks like. John Robert Williams, get that camera ready even though you're retired. A retired photographer probably can't retire because they probably still want to pick up that camera and take beautiful shots. I know he does. So there's the story we'll be watching as we go into January, and the European model kind of starts to bear that out. So here's our little precipitation for today, and it's done. Then tomorrow is good travel, and Christmas Day still looks like good travel. The warm-up is a little shy. Frank Milky, Lapeer travel between 2 and 4 p today. Should I reschedule doctor appointment? I would not, unless you are really adverse to driving in a little bit of slickness. So after Christmas, Thursday, dry and mild. Friday, we get into the southerly wind. We start to warm up. Look at the next storm system on the weekend. It's all rain all the way from the Gulf Coast up into southern Canada. That shows the strength of the mild conditions coming. I won't call it warm. And notice the next storm after that comes from Arkansas, curves northeast. That's a snowstorm track if we were cold enough, but we're not. So that's a help with the drought type of winter rain on Sunday, December 29th. And notice then the next storm system drops into the southern plains, tries to make a curve. This is far out to believe the track of this, but it just has the makings of, at some point we get into the north side, the snow sides of storm systems. Now we're January 3rd, January 4th, and we're way out to believe anything, but it shows the same deal of a storm in the Gulf Coast and out the East Coast. We leave it at 16 days out, another storm comes into the West Coast. So the point is, very active storm track. Now, I've been talking about, I can't say we, I've been talking about, pretty mild temperatures as we head toward the end of the year. And it's the case. Southern lower much more so than northern lower, and I would say that the warm up has been tempered some, where we were looking at maybe 50 or so, probably looking at maybe 45. So temper that down about 5 degrees. What it does is it gives much of Michigan a good chance of at least a residual white Christmas, because the warm up will not be aggressive over the next couple of days. It'll be just enough to get the roads melted off if there is any ice, but not enough to ruin the white Christmas. So here is tomorrow's high temperature, a lot of places around 34-ish. And then here is Christmas Day's high temperature, 33, 34, 35. Really a middle of the road type thing. Let's see, Lenny, Macomb Yard. Think Macomb County need to plow? No, I don't really at all, especially Macomb County. Thursday, maybe 40 in the southwest, 30s elsewhere. Friday, maybe a lot of places approaching 40 degrees, in the low 40s in Kalamazoo and Grand Rapids. So the southwest will be warmer on this. Saturday, 45 to 50, up to Bay City, Mount Pleasant, even in Traverse City. Sunday, 40s, a lot of places. Monday, the 30th, 40-ish, southern half. New Year's Eve day, upper 30s to near 40s, so you don't expect travel problems with that kind of situation. Then we should start to ease back down toward winter. This is New Year's Day, still mild, upper 30s south half, low 30s north half. January 2nd, 3rd, 4th is where everything's showing we ease back to high temperatures below freezing most everywhere, mid to upper 20s January 3rd and January 4th maybe in the 20s, and the 5th around 30, and the 6th maybe popping back up. So in other words, nothing that looks like an Arctic outbreak. That's the other thing this often storm track will do. It keeps the warmth from building up a lot, but it keeps the cold from really penetrating and lasting several days, because the next storm system is all ready to bring the warmth up before the storm, cool down behind the storm. It's going to be winter nonetheless. I don't see any Arctic blasts. I don't see any, after this warm up, as we head toward the first of the year, I don't see any, major abnormally warmth into January. Guess what? It's going to be a good middle of the road winter with some snow, with some slop, with some things for me definitely to watch for you. One last thing that will kind of cement this. European model, I show it out to you 10 days. I show it out to 15 days sometimes. It runs out longer than that, 45 days. Here is a surface temperature anomaly. So how much colder or warmer the surface temperature will be compared to normal. Out 45 days, takes us into early February, and it shows the sign of slowly getting colder to slightly colder than normal temperature. So here it is. We'll have a little bit of fun. I always like to tell the bosses, hey, I'm going to look at the next 45 days, and then I'll check in with you in early February. Of course, we know I can't do that, right? So here's your surface temperature anomaly, very warm. Look at Canada, very warm. This is January 3rd, 4th, 5th. 6th, 7th. Then we start to see the shading of the cooler, colder than normal temperatures. This is January 10th, and that would signify 2 degrees colder than normal, which is about normal basically. And January 11th and 12th and 13th and 14th and 15th, 5 degrees colder than normal. That's cold. That's highs in the 20s, lows in the single digits and teens. January 18th, 19th, 20th. Hey, do you feel like January is going to be winter? Yes, it is. January 25th, still hanging on to normal to slightly colder than normal. That's in the dead of winter. February 1st, that's the, about the coldest time period we get, projected to be normal to slightly colder than normal. That's a steady cold winter pattern. And what you'll notice that's very interesting in that kind of pattern that I just showed you is Canada is going to stay warmer than normal. So what we're saying is that there doesn't appear to be a big Arctic blob that's going to plunge southward. It could happen. This can change. 45-day modeling obviously is a little suspect. But the point is, January, get the snowmobile ready, get the snowblower ready, but don't fear extreme Arctic cold. Hey, thanks for joining me on the MLive Morning Weather Update, brought to you by Consumers Energy. I gotta say Merry Christmas to my good buddy Greg Favero and his family, and take care. Bye.